Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're all good and well. And tonight I'm doing my latest album review of the latest Jinjer release, the fourth studio album Wallflowers, released today on Napalm Records. The album is 11 tracks and it's 47 minutes in length. And I have to say, this album from Jinjer really does pack a punch from track to track. Each track isn't too long, considering they are often called progressive metal. Each track is kind of 4 to 5 minutes. Really, as I say, packs a punch. There's good flow to the album, I think, from start to finish, from Call Me a Symbol right through to the last track, Mediator. And you are, certainly delivered with a pretty aggressive, perhaps one of the more aggressive outputs actually from Jinjer's discography. And I would say that Jinjer here do retain a lot of the signature themes that you would expect from a Jinjer album. You have a full range of Tatiana's vocals on display, the really intriguing, expertly done bass work by Eugene, the amazing rhythm guitar stuff that you get from Roman, and obviously the incredible drumming as well from Vlad. So it's all on display still here. This is just, I think, a Jinjer, pretty, a heavy, very heavy Jinjer album, still presents some of those things that you would expect from a Jinjer album. So also just wanted to touch on the theme, because I read about a couple of these tracks as well, and it seems like a lot of this album, in terms of its thematically, is drawing on Jinjer's personal experiences, becoming, I think, big as a band. An awkward TV interview they had is the theme for the track Disclosure. And I think you can sense that in this album, that the anger and frustration is kind of boiling over in these tracks. You do still get some of the jazzy elements that, the fusion elements that we get from Jinjer. But there's a lot of aggressive sections, a lot of thrashy, groovy stuff going on in a fair amount of this album. It's just, you have the kind of, it's laced together with those other more jazzy parts. So I'm going to go a bit more now into the tracks themselves. And to begin with, we were given Call Me a Symbol, which is certainly, pretty thrashy. I think it's a good opener, has some great drumming on display, and, gets you in the mood for what you can expect for much of the rest of the album, I think, as well. Now, for me, I think that the track that really kind of in the earlier part of the album stood out the most was the pre-release single Vortex. I think that's an amazing track with a really, really good build up into, perfectly exemplifying where Jinjer really thrive, I think, on their style, which is the sort of swirling jazzy sounds going into the really, really heavy, deep, low parts of their music. Disclosure was a bit kind of Disclosure, the fourth track, right? It reminded me a bit of an Alice in Chains type song from the old Alice in Chains catalogue. And this track for me stood out a bit as an odd one out on this album. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but it actually, I think, after about a minute or 90 seconds, went more into the Jinjer you would probably expect. But really kind of an interesting slight diversion. Not that I was against it, but it just kind of stood out a bit to me in this album. So moving on to track 5, Copycat, really like that one, and I think the album starts to get really good in its second half. And actually, my top 3 tracks, 2 of them are in the late part of this album. One is Dead Hands, Feel No Pain, which I think in that song Tatiana is channeling her inner Jens Kidman from Miss Sugar, that is, with her growls, which seems to get deeper and deeper towards the end and just fits so well. I think it's one of Jinjer's great strengths is, again, those kind of breakdowns and that really, really interesting offbeat stuff that they do, and they do it so well in Dead Hands, Feel No Pain. Love that track. And then, that was my phone, sorry about that. And then the last track on the album was my other, I'd say, in my top 3, Mediator, one of the pre-release singles, of course, the second one. And this one is just a melt-your-face Jinjer track. Absolutely loved it from start to finish, and a great way to finish this album. So what are my conclusions from Wallflowers, the fourth Jinjer studio album? I think this is a really solid release. given that I loved all the three singles on this prior to the album being released, I actually went in with very, very high expectations. And particularly coming off last week's Between the Buried and the Album, I'm thinking, God, we're just going to be spoiled. And yes, I still feel pretty spoiled. I still feel this is a really good album, but perhaps I might just refrain from saying it's, an incredible, perfect kind of scoring kind of album, because I just felt, actually, given my really high expectations, some of the tracks weren't maybe, I thought, as good as the others. And there weren't many, maybe 3 or 4. But with that in mind, I think I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. So still a really good score. I think this is, a really pretty powerful and aggressive album that is well worth your time. And I think I'll leave that review there. And hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out my other album reviews on the channel as well. And I also do ranking of discographies. And I cover sci-fi, fantasy and horror films and TV sometimes too as well. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evenings. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Bye.